S.H Figuarts Dragon Ball Super Future Trunks was released here in Japan on the 22nd of November as a Bandai Premium exclusive. If you bought it directly from the website, you would have got it in today, but I know some people got theirs a little earlier, and depending on where you are in the world right now, your orders should be rolling out pretty soon. I think there was a lot of hype leading up to this figure. Collectors, including myself, were pretty excited when Tamashii first announced its release way back in July, I think it was this year. For one, Trunks has always been a fan favorite, and I know a lot of collectors, me included, have been wanting a new Dragon Ball Z Trunks or a Future Trunks 2.0 for quite some time now. The first release, the original Dragon Ball Z Future Trunks release, for me personally at least, was a pretty awful figure. Just my opinion. It's totally cool if you like the figure, but instead we did get a Future Trunks from Dragon Ball Super, which I think a lot of people were still pretty happy with, considering how popular he was in the Goku Black arc. So does the figure live up to the expectation? For the most part, I gotta say yeah, he does. There are a couple of minor nitpicks that I do have with the figure, but all in all, after spending some quality time with Trunks, I gotta say he is a very solid addition to the Dragon Ball Super lineup. So just a couple of issues I want to address. First of all are the faces. If you've been following me on my reviews on Dragon Ball Figuarts figures, or actually any figure for that matter, you'll know I'm pretty particular when it comes to faces. They either make or break the figure for me. So when I heard some people complain about the base faces looking subpar, I was pretty anxious to see them for myself. But to be honest guys, I really don't see where all the hate is coming from. It's this particular face here on the right, the shouting base face. And you know what, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't call it a fantastic sculpt, but it definitely isn't terrible either. I quite like the neutral base face on the left actually. It's definitely not as sharp as some of the other figures in the Dragon Ball line for Figuarts. And when I mean sharp, I don't mean, paint or sculpt, but the, artistic interpretation of the figure. For me, Super, at least in the anime anyway, was always more cartoony than Z. I think a lot of fans can agree with me that, stylistic differences between, Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super are pretty different. Z being more angular or sharper, and Dragon Ball Super having a more rounded, softer look to it. Bigger eyes, brighter colors. I think they translated that pretty well to the figure. You might not like Dragon Ball Super style or look, but for me it's pretty faithful to its source, at least in the anime anyway. The sculpt of the hair is pretty accurate, I think. The loose strands of hair you see on the top there are made from a softer plastic, so it won't snap off. No shading, but it is a nice solid blue. Trunks' Super Saiyan Rage Head looks really nice. I really like how it came out. His hair is all spiked up, just like how it's supposed to in this particular form. You get some shading going on down the middle of his hair and around the bangs of his hair as well. You can't really tell because of the lighting. It's quite bright, the lighting I have right now, but there is some shading going on there. Again, like the base form faces, all the details, like the eyes and the mouth, are nice and clean. My only complaint, you only do get two faceplates. The one on the left where he's shouting, and the one on the right where he's got, his teeth gritting, his eyes to the side, is that they didn't include a white pupil or no pupil faceplate. I, imagine it wouldn't cost too much to include one extra faceplate, and, it would have made all the difference to have, even if it was just the same sculpt as the left head faceplate, if they just made it all white, his eyes all white, that would have made, it so much better for this set, for this figure. So a little bit disappointed that they didn't include that faceplate. And looking at the rest of Trunks' body, starting with his jacket, it is molded in a bluish grey plastic. You can see all the details sculpted in there on his shoulders, all the creases and the seams. The pockets on the front of his jacket here, the gold details for his buttons that run across, that run down his jacket as well. He's got a silver buckle. The belt here is painted green. He does have a tear here on the left side of his elbow there, and there is some black paint, some black detail there. The Capture Corp logo. The white circle there isn't perfectly circular, but I guess I can live with it. The black print there is pretty clean though. Looking at his cuffs, they are frayed, which is how they are in the animation. So that's a nice little detail. His collar piece here is separate. The scarf is a part of his collar, so when you take off his head, this piece does come off, and that's so you can actually put the sheath on and have the collar piece sit on top of the sheath belt, so it looks a little bit more natural. When you have the collar piece on, it doesn't move around. It's on there pretty tightly. Just pop Trunks' head back on. There we go. The scarf itself, it is painted a muted red. There is a little bit shading. It's probably not going to come out on camera, but there is some shading there. Moving on to his legs, you do get some shading around his crotch and in the inner thighs of his legs. Some nicely sculpted seams and creases there on his pants. You get a tear there on the left side, some skin showing through, that is painted skin tone. Looking at his boots, nicely sculpted, no shading, but we do get some paint work for his boot caps and on the soles of his shoes there. So for articulation, his head does move up quite well, and that's because his neck does have quite a lot of space around his collar there, so it does give him a greater range of movement for his head. He does bury his head down quite low as well, which is quite nice. Side to side rotation, and he does tilt his head quite a bit as well, and again, it's because of that neck joint that gives him that extra movement. For his shoulders, he does have a butterfly joint moving inward, which is great for those double hand wielding sword poses. His shoulder here doesn't go quite 90 degrees up, which is a little bit disappointing, but you do get that standard 360 there. He does have an upper bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, which is great, and of course the standard hinge and swivel there for his wrist. Sorry, hinges and swivels. So I do have Trunks' sheath and sword plugged in on his back here. I just wanted to show you, even with his sheath on, it doesn't hinder his articulation. He still crunches forward just as much as if he didn't have his sheath on at all. He does crunch back this much. There is a bit of rotation there at his upper torso. Not too much. He can tilt side to side. And of course he does have waist rotation as well. Alright, so for leg articulation, you're not going to have any trouble kicking back and forward. He does the full splits there. Side splits this far out. He does have an up thigh cut, so there is some rotation there. Double jointed knees. No boot cut, but you do get rotation there at the ankle. Foot moves down. Slight movement going up. A bit of toe articulation there. But you do get some decent ankle tilt. So for accessories, we get two heads. The base form head with the infamous shouting face that nobody seems to like. And to change those faces out, like most Dragon Ball Figuarts figures, you do pull the front of the hair out, take off the faceplate, put the new faceplate in. There we go, there's the neutral smiling face. We also get a Super Saiyan Rage face and head, which looks awesome in my opinion, as I mentioned before. Love this sculpt. Love the two faceplates. Shame that they didn't include the no pupils or white eyes face as well. That would have made it perfect, but too bad. We also get two fisted hands, nothing new here, nothing we haven't seen before. Two open palm blast hands. Two Gallic gun blast hands. This time we get a peg hole for the Gallic gun effect, which is a molded translucent purple piece here with some sculpted details. Looks quite nice. That plugs into there, snaps into there like so, which is a pretty cool feature. We also get two sword wielding hands. This time the thumbs and the fingers are connected, so you actually have to remove the butt of the hilt to actually get the hilt to slide into the hand, which I have prepared earlier. And you do get two swords, the broken blade sword and your normal standard sword, which is the same length and same size as the Dragon Ball Z Future Trunks release sword, just different design. Just thought you guys might want to see them side by side. And you do get the sheath as well, with the strap, and the broken blade sword does fit inside the sheath. Fits in there pretty tightly, so it's not going to fall out when you tip it out. You also get a open palm relaxed hand as well. And last but not least, you get this awesome piece of blue plastic, translucent blue plastic, the Sword of Hope, or the Spirit Bomb sword, which Trunks does use in the Goku Black arc, which was such an awesome moment, and I'm really glad that they included this piece in. Just an iconic move, iconic attack from Future Trunks in Dragon Ball Super, and it fits onto the to the broken blade sword quite tightly, so it's not going to come out. It is quite heavy, and it is made from a flexible plastic, but Trunks will actually support the weight with his arms, but the wrist will actually, you know, kind of droop down because of all the weight. But you do get a stand, a clear plastic stand, so you can have it resting on that stand, you know, just to take some of that weight off of Trunks's wrists. So some really cool accessories and a lot of options, a lot of posing options for Trunks here. Alright guys, just a couple of head swaps in case you were wondering what some other Trunks heads looks like on the Super body. Here we have it. I don't have the Time Controller Trunks. That head, the new updated head and Super Saiyan head on that figure looks a million times better, I think anyway, than the premium color Trunks here that I have with me on the right. But just in case you were wondering what a normal Super Saiyan head looks like on the Super body, here it is. I wouldn't recommend doing it though, because the head, even though it fits on the Super body, is a really tight fit, and I had to use quite a bit of force to get it on. And I think if you leave the head on for, you know, too long, it's probably going to stretch out the hole. So when it comes time for you to put that head back onto the premium body, if you have that figure, it's probably going to be a little bit too loose. So I will be taking the head off as soon as I finish this review. But just to let you guys know what it looks like, this is the normal Super Saiyan head on the Super body. And another one I think you guys would probably be interested in is the Rage head on the Saiyan armor body here. Unfortunately, the ball peg on the Saiyan armor Trunks is too big and it won't fit. So that one there would look pretty cool if it does, if it did fit, but unfortunately it doesn't. And vice versa, you can't fit the long hair Trunks head on the Super body either. Alright guys, so just some size comparisons and I guess my final verdict. Yeah, actually for me I really like this figure. It's a great representation of Dragon Ball Super Future Trunks. Sure, you know, some people don't like the base head, the base form head sculpt, faceplate, whatever you want to call it, but for me it really isn't that much of a big deal. I actually like the neutral face on the base form. But yeah, it's a really solid figure. Great articulation, comes with some really cool accessories. So for me, personally anyway, it's a must buy, especially if you like Dragon Ball Super, and even more so if you like the Goku Black arc. And I know there have been some really, and I mean really nice customs out there made by collectors. Some even better looking than, you know, the official, but still this really is a solid figure, and I think Tamashii did a pretty good job overall. So definitely recommended for those who might still be on the fence, especially since it is a web exclusive, and I think, you know, prices will go up after they sell out at retail. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed the video. As always, thank you so much for watching. Do feel free to subscribe if you haven't already, or if you're new to the channel. Likes and comments are always appreciated. Have a great weekend, and I'll be seeing you all soon. Bye for now.